and I thought that I would do a live, and I really thought that maybe I should just introduce myself as the girl behind the art, behind my music art first. And I wanted to talk to you guys about my journey as an artist. And I know my first live, I probably should have done something like a performance, but I actually think that this is the message I really want to give for my first live as an artist, which is what I learned in becoming an artist in my relationship to building up fans, connecting to people, and actually being a people pleaser. And also, if you guys are into manifestation, then I'm gonna speak on that a lot because I like to write affirmation songs and stuff like that. And I've really discovered that being a people pleaser, it being something that it being a habit that I have, I really admit to that. It's not something I'm prideful of. It's not something that I want to have, but it is a condition of mine that I realize shows up, and had an epiphany about it as a music artist relating to my fans. And so if you are somebody who really wants to manifest and you find that you are a people pleaser, even if you have never listened to any of my art, my music art or anything like that, I still feel like this live could be beneficial to people because I really discovered something. And what it is that I discovered is that being a people pleaser wobbles your manifestation. It wobbles your manifestation. And as an artist, when it came to my relationship to my fans, it wobbled relationship to my fans. So let's talk about being a people pleaser and manifesting. It's really quite simple. If you're a people pleaser, you put other people's needs before you, okay? And I like to look at manifestation in like 4 steps. So the first step is you want something, right? The prequel to that is that something happens that frustrates you and then you realize you want something. So step 1 is you want something. Step 2 is realizing that you need to change your belief about yourself. Step 3 is affirming that belief. And then step 4 would be having the behaviors that inspired by this new belief of yourself. So why is it that people pleasing messes up your manifestation? Because in those 4 steps, people pleasing, it's hard to get past step 1, wants, because your wants interfere with other people's wants. And I realized this on my journey. So if I want something, but I really care about what this other person wants and it comes what I want, then my people pleasing nature actually kind of like robs me of getting what I want. Okay. So this was the thing that I wanted to share with you guys because this is just, when you think about you being a people pleaser, if you it's not that I identify with myself with that ever, but it's a condition I'm getting over, let's say that. If you find that you are a people pleaser, at the basic of it, you want to get people to you. And underneath that is a real desire to connect with people, but just an unknowing of how to do it. And so when I look at my music approach, like when I got on TikTok, that was really where I felt like my music expanded, right? And what people knew about me expanded my journey on TikTok. When I first started out, I really just was so passionate and motivated to be authentically myself. I had all of the goods already. I was a little bit overweight, but I owned that. I loved dressing up, taking care of myself, and it was how I came through the door. I just came in believing in myself. And as I grew on TikTok, I started to relate to the more negative comments and they started to impact me. And this is what happens when you have heads of a people pleaser. anything that people say, anything outside of you, you take more personal. It bothers you to your core, and it can compromise who you really are, like who you really believe yourself to be. And I got into this game on TikTok where I lost myself in a way because I was expanding too fast, and as I was expanding, I was fighting this need for people to prove to people that I was good enough. My people pleasing tendency to prove to people that I had what it took to be a great music artist. And I got into this game of being in that way. That's why my first song that I ever released originally on TikTok was playing. It has a very deep meaning because it's about me recognizing when to play the game and when not to play the game. When I first came in, I had everything that it took, and then I lost in the game. Basically, I got lost in the game. And I have a song that's called Lost in the Game. And so I realized that the me that knew who she was pushed to the back. And the version of me that showed up inauthentically, the me that needed to prove to people that I was good. And the more that I needed to do that, see, the thing about being a people pleaser is that the more that you need to connect to people in this false way, the more that it creates this false connection with people. And it doesn't matter, like, for me on TikTok, it was that there was a lot of people that didn't like me. But even if people like you and your people pleasing tendencies are kind of working in your favor, eventually you will see that it's a false connection. The people pleasing tendencies are a function. And so I started wanting to be a rapper to prove to people, because I got lost in one remix. Like, I was doing remixes of different genres and playing around, but I got lost in one area. It was one rap remix, and that compelled me to get even more lost in the game, even more proving that I could be a rapper. So the great thing about law of attraction, expansion, and manifesting is where you go, there's expansion available. So even though I was in this people-pleasing state of wanting to prove to everybody of something that I never thought I was in the first place, never was trying to be, I ended up gaining skills through that. But eventually I stopped, go back to my original intentions and see that I had gotten lost in the game, that my people-pleasing, my need to prove to people had made me get off track of what I really wanted to be. This is why I stopped taking care of myself. So like when people project inadequacy onto you, that if you're a people pleaser, you absorb it. So people might think, oh, I'm going to tell this person like that they're bad and that this will help them to be better. Like this idea of criticism. If you're a people pleaser, it doesn't matter what, but if you're a people, I mean, most people don't like criticism, but if you're a people pleaser, you absorb that criticism and you try to change yourself. And I was not willing to do that. So my rebellious nature stopped taking care of myself. So the version of me that was comfortable with dressing up, even though I'm a little overweight, that wanted to look good, that wanted to show up, even that part of me, I felt defeated. And so I stopped even wanting to show up looking good. And so I had to really go back to myself and hit all of the reasons why I did music and created music art and stopped listening to the outside noise. I had to cancel out the outside noise for real. And I thought I had, but because I have those people pleasing tendencies, it always sneaks up on you. It always sneaks up on you. So when you're trying to manifest and you have these tendencies, what you also deal with is this painful feeling of rejection. Like people get rejected, all the time. But people who get rejected and you kind of invested your people into somebody and you get rejected, it hurts you to your core. It hurts you to your core. You hurt more than other people in the face of rejection. And I think that's because Now let's really get into what's happening. Like when you're a people pleaser and you relate to somebody, the you that was you, that was whatever part of you that was really there, it compromises itself to relate to that other person, right? So this is you, this is that other person. Now, you have all these great qualities and this other person has all these great qualities. But the people pleaser would be like, well, there's two versions. The first one would be like, oh, you have great qualities. I want to take them on. So you take on this person's great qualities and you replace it. Okay, you replace it with your own. So people pleasers, people pleasers replace themselves. They compromise themselves. They replace themselves. Right. Now, the other version of people pleaser, which I've also been in my relationships, is judgment. So like you've done so much for this person, they don't see it. And then you forget, you start, what maybe the other person has projected bad qualities, but you start to project their bad qualities. So you start to see what is good about them as something bad. So let's say the person is more relaxed, you might call them lazy. And the reason that a people pleaser could become very judgmental is because they don't feel appreciated for what they've done, because their doing is so important to the validation that they're needing. And so if the person doesn't give it to them, the people pleaser is completely broken. And so they start to judge. So there's two people pleaser scene, is the victim, like the person who feels victimized, or the judgment. And so this people pleaser person is now trying to change this person. Like, you need to be more like me. That's also a version of myself as a people pleaser that has shown up. Why? Because people pleasers replace themselves with the other person. So if it flips and they see wrong in the other person, then a people pleaser wants the other person to replace themselves. This is why people pleasers get mad at other people and their bad qualities, and they get over criticized because they think, I've replaced myself with my bad qualities and I'm trying to be good, like this version of good that I think is out here. Now you need to do the same thing. You need to replace yourself. So like the journey with people pleasing is about replacement. It's about replacement. And so you really get stuck. Hi, happy Easter. You really get stuck with having organic relationships because you don't know how to show up to a person without replacing yourself. So this was how it was for me in my relationships, for sure. I say it, and I'm got plenty of songs to write about that. But also in my relationship to my fans and to the people who were supporting me, I felt victimized and I judged them at the same time because of my people-pleasing tendencies, my need for them to like me and to feel rejected, mine for them to like me and then for me to feel rejected, created this issue with the people that I built a community with, who was what I was doing on TikTok with my music. It created this huge discord, and it was me that like absolutely had lost myself. And so as an artist, I think you can lose yourself in your fans. You could lose yourself in your audience because have those people pleasing tendencies. It's never satisfying. You can never satisfy the people, and you are never satisfied. So this is why people pleasing and manifesting is the issue, because the first step is wobbly. What you want becomes very wobbly as a people pleaser, and you are susceptible to compromising what you want for the sake of other people's preferences. So how do you as a people pleaser actually start to make organic relationships? And this was the dawning in my personal world, my relationship to building an audience, and what has changed in my music. What has really changed is that I realized that that rejection that I was feeling was me rejecting myself. The rejection I was experiencing from people was me rejecting myself. And where am I rejecting myself? Because I didn't put my wants as first. So I put other people's wants in front of mine. And that is where the real rejection is. And I know it sounds crazy, because if you've ever been rejected by a friend group, and for me, it's like feeling rejected by, a certain fan base. Like, I really feel like, man, like, why don't you guys like me? Or how can I be more like you so that you me? And how could I, like, what do I need to do? And then once you're tired of being the victim, it's like, well, what is it that you need to do to change so that you could be more like me? And that rejection is so strong, because I felt such discord, such distance between me and a group of people. The rejection is so strong. I could not see beyond the connection. And you know what, in life, we practice so much to just cut people off. But part of my, I don't know if it's a good habit or not, is that I really figure out, why is it that I can't connect with somebody who might be a little bit different than me, And so my people pleasing tendency felt so hurt by the rejection. I could see so clearly where I'm different, where they are different, and how I can never be like them, and they'll never accept me unless I really try to pretend to be like them. So this was the fog, this was the cloud that plagued me for a long time. And the truth is that that can connect with people, but you have to come whole. So the whole version of me was just not there. I just could not see the whole version of me, the version of me that doesn't necessarily need them, but wants them in my life. There's a song that is coming on my mixtape called Fell, and I talk a lot about this revelation of my needs. At first, it felt very mechanical, because it's like, okay, yeah, I know I need to be whole in order to connect with you, but I'm still quite hurt and baffled by the discord of how much I don't feel like I belong to you, how I don't belong to your group. I still felt that. But I did the mechanical work. I said, well, I know I need to feel whole. I know I need to feel better about myself to connect to these people. And it's so true. Like, eventually you start to realize that the rejection is coming from you, from your wants. And the whole issue is that how you relate to people from a sense of replacing yourself needs to be more from the space of adding to yourself. So instead of seeing this person's qualities and good qualities as something that needs to replace my good qualities, right, in this relationship with them, I now can see that I have good qualities and this person has good qualities, and they are now expanding my experience. They are now adding to my good qualities. So a people pleaser doesn't see it that way. A people pleaser person has good qualities. I need to replace their good qualities with mine. But a wholesome person would say, I have good qualities, they have good qualities, and when we come together and add their good qualities to mine, I can commune with them in a way that appreciates our differences, but also sees where it is that we have a similar trajectory, a similar desire, and a similar outlook. Thus, in this big long rant that has no music in it as my first live, I would like to say that the best way to heal your sense of rejection, best way to heal your sense of rejection, that awful feeling of not feeling like you belong to people, is to find where you belong to yourself. And how do you find where you belong to yourself? You go back to your original good qualities. You go back to what made you distinctly good. Because, and I know that sounds crazy, but to a people pleaser, you forgot. So you need to go back to what makes you good, what makes you great without them. You really have to do that. And I know it sounds so simple to the most confident person, but to the person who practices replacing themselves, you don't know how to do this. So this is what you have to do. You have to go back to your original self and see your great qualities without them. And then you also go back to your original goals and intentions, and you put your wants and goals before them. And before you know it, you will want to reach out and connect to them without fear of rejection. And before you know it, they will probably reach out and want to connect to you because you're no longer repelling them with your people pleasing tendencies. You're actually attracting them because you're seeing the good in you and you're seeing the good in them. And that level of expansion is what true wholeness and connection to other people that you were trying to do with people pleasing actually happens. So I hope that this message reaches the people that it does, and maybe I'll put some timestamps. But moving forward, I'll be doing some live music sessions. And thank you guys so much. I am KRENA, and KRENA the Princess, the woman behind the music art. Peace and love.